Hello there and welcome to my YouTube channel, Julia McNeil Craft. So it's time for another Dawn and Julia create, and the lovely Dawn has set the challenge. So she has suggested that, something's just dropped behind me, that we use these little MDF caravans. This is a Mad Hatter's MDF kit which is available on my website. And we're to make either a canvas or a book cover. So I've opted for a canvas, just a little one, because I thought I kind of want the caravan mostly fitting that. We can use one stencil, we can use gesso. I did message Dawn and say, can I have black and white? And she said yes. So I know I'm not going to end up on the naughty step because I already checked. We are allowed a choice of either inks or paints. Now I've opted for paints, and the bit that was stressing me the most about this challenge was I needed black, because if I'm going to be doing MDF I need shadowing, I need depth of colour, and yeah, I was struggling with that, which is why I thought, oh, if I had it in a gesso I might get away with it. I have gone for my primaries. Dawn will have guessed that I've gone for my primaries, and I've got 3 different brands here because I did want a very specific primary. So I've got yellow, which is Dilutions. This is a Dilution as well, actually. This is Bubblegum Pink, that's for my magenta, and I wanted the cyan. I was thinking of going for a teal, but then I thought if I'm wanting to create a sky colour I need a truer blue. So my idea is we will be playing with the primary colours. From your primary colours you can get every colour under the sun from those colours, especially with the fact that we have black and white, so it's all good. The other reason was I wanted to use my 13 Arch Gesso because I like to use a stencil, and I've decided to go for this rose trellis one just because there's loads of different elements to it, so I thought it gave me a bit more scope for doing a bit more interesting stuff with it. Like I could layer lots of different patterns on it. So I am going to use my 13 Arch Gesso. I do have another tub of it thankfully because we're down to the bottom of it, but look at that, I love my 13 Arch Gesso for this. Look, fabulous, it's so stodgy. So I am going to get this and I'm going to pop this. I don't know how much of this I will get done today because we're going to need drying time, but hopefully we should be alright. And I'm going to use this as a texture paste, and I want, oops, I specifically want the roses in the corner. I have a feeling that we're going to be neatening this up once I take it off, but that's okay. This is the advantage of having a good gesso. I have to say that when people sort of get overwhelmed with mixed media, there's so many products out there and there's so many different types of texture pastes and this, that and the other, that it can be easy to get overwhelming. And my advice to people is, if you've got a black and white gesso, or clear as well if you really want, but my advice is if you get gesso, gel medium and pigment powders, and you're good to go, because you can actually create all your paints and mediums and colourways with pigment powders. We'll not be doing that today, but we will be doing it at some point. So I'm just neatening that up a little bit, but I like that. We've got some roses on it, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it in the corner here as well, but I don't want to damage what I've just done. So we're going to be bending, holding the stencil up, which might make it a little bit more difficult, but I'm too lazy to wait for that lot to dry and then wait for another lot to dry. Can't be doing that. So we'll make it work. It'll be alright. It's the first layer of texture anyway, so we're not wanting perfection, because this is going to become a nuance in the back. It's not going to become the main focal point. So I am going to just do that there. Then we'll neaten that up. And as I said, that will, oh, we were also allowed, I've just seen the box beside me, we're allowed one extra sort of embellishment. We're only allowed one, but we're allowed multiples of that one sort of thing. So I presume if we chose chipboards, you're allowed multiples of chipboards and things. I've actually got my box of flowers. I also reckon Dawn will have her flowers. I do indeed. Right, I am going to just stop the camera there, go and clean my stencil. I am also going to, while I'm off camera, stick a layer of white gesso on my caravan, and then I will come back and we can paint it together. Okay, so time to paint my caravan. I am a little bit nervous about this because normally I would paint it and then I would do my shadowing with ink, but we're allowed paint or ink. Yes. We'll see how we feel about this. So, I'm just going to go for it. Right, I'm going to get some paint on. I'm not having to worry overly about being incredibly neat because all of these elements are going to go over it. So we don't have to worry about neatness too much. But I will, however, attempt, some form of control. And we'll see how we get on. You'll never ever guess what I will do. Now Dawn, try not to faint at this point in time. Whilst waiting for this gesso to dry, I've started on the next Dawn and Julia Create. I know! That's like more than 2 weeks in advance. It's unheard of. The other thing is we are about to start the summer holidays and yeah. Time to be able to do these sort of things may be rather tight. I don't know what I want to do now. Let's go pink in the middle. Like I can mix the colours, and I will be once I start to get to it, because I'm going to have to do gradients of shadow, because it will severely bother me if we don't. So I will be doing something, but what as yet I don't know. I've just splottered a bit, but thankfully it's at the window, so because the window will be, what do you call it? The window will be covered. I can't remember what I did for colours for the oh, you'll never believe it. I've just glanced over at the last caravan project I did, which was in Alive, to see what colours I did. Can you guess? I'm just going to pull it over. Pretty much the same, but the opposite way around. That maybe says something. Anywho, that's fine. That's fine. It's all good. I clearly like these colours, and it's absolutely okay to be using colours that you like. Crafting is all about enjoying yourself and being happy. So if these colours make you happy, absolutely a-okay. So we've got that, and then I think I'm going to have my little hubcap pink to match the stripe. And then I'm going to end up going tealy colours for the doors, which is pretty much what I did last time. The reason I went for that in my head was because I know I'm going to be going like blue and green on the background to sort of emanate the sky and grass somewhat. I was wanting something to stand out from those colours, which is hence why I went sort of complete opposite to it. But there you go. I didn't quite realise that I'd done exactly the same as I had last time. It's funny. Right, this is an indigo blue paint, and this one does have a bit of a shimmer. But it was the closest to my cyan blue. The blues that I've got in the dilutions are, what do you call it? They're quite dark. They're not a true cyan, and I really wanted a cyan, so that is what I went with. Now I'm just going to grab the edges of that. Means we'll grab a nice shiny door. I'm going to avoid that little window bit at the minute because I think I want the colours slightly different. And now normally I would be correcting that with a paint pen, but we don't have a paint pen on the list, so we've got to go purely with paints. Oh, we also don't have ink on the list, so I can't deepen it with my ink. I will be deepening it because I firmly believe in shadows. Shadows make me happy, so shadows we will be having. Right. So what I'm going to do now that I've done that is I'm going to get a blob of gesso out, and I'm going to start mixing this blue with some of the white gesso, and that will allow me to sort of get like the window colours. So let's just grab a little bit of gesso out, and then that way we can create a paler blue. That's a bit too dark still, that's fine, we're just creating lots of colours to play with, and I've not actually done my sky background yet, so that can all go in this. So I'll get it used. I'm just having fun mixing right now. And then I would like even paler, so now we're just going to take a little bit of that and take a bigger chunk of the white. There we go. Right, so with that, I'm just going to paint over all of it, and then I can get the curtain detail. There's quite a bit of that leftover residue paint still on my brush. It's gone quite dark, so just pin that. There we go. Got a bit better there. And then I'm just going to paint the centre of this as well. So this is just to create my sort of windowed glass. Right, I think I want to try and create a bit more shadow not on the main caravan. The rest of it I am going to try and create it with the black gesso, but I'm going to see if I can get a kitchen sponge or something for that. Okay, so we've got that and that. I'm going to just, let's get a bit of yellow out. And I'm just going to mix this yellow, let's get a bit of pink in there, I don't want a lot of it. I just want to deepen that slightly. We're creating a bit of an orange, and then I'm going to just flick that. So there we go, we've created a, I don't know if you can see the difference, I can see the difference, I don't know if it shows up on camera. But I'm just going to flick that in, and that's going to give me a much more depth to that, and then I will probably add a bit more pink again and flick again. The actual pink paint I think I'm going to have to flick with black. But we will see how we go. There we go. Bit of green down there. My blue thumb has clearly got in the way, so just thickening up the paint down the bottom there. Disguise that a little bit. Okay. So now we've deepened that. I'm going to go and get a bit more pink into there. So we've gone quite a dark orange now, and I'm just, again, that's a bit too heavy. So let's take some of it off. Just going to keep flicking. That's way heavier than I wanted, but I would rather have it heavier and have a variety of colours than have it looking flat. I mean, what I can do is go back in with yellow and brush out, which I may well do in just a moment. I'll show you what I mean, like sort of brush in the opposite direction with yellow. Actually, don't mind it at the bottom. And then right along here, that's going to be like, it's going to have loads of shadow there, because the whole caravan's sitting on top of it. So I'll get that in now. So now I'm going to just get a separate brush, because that one's become quite orangey. But now if I get a little bit of yellow and start in the centre and flick out, I'll end up blending the opposite way, which will sort of knock those oranges back where I wanted them, hopefully. But we've still got the variety of colour, which is fabulous. Apart from the fact that I've stuck a blue thumbprint in just there. That's not quite so clever. But you know, I'll live. Okay. So that's looking quite good. I don't need to do anything with that. Let's give, is this not fully dried there? How's this one doing? This one's doing not too bad. I'm just going to see if I can go in and give it some yellow curtains. thankfully Dawn has allowed me the black pen, and that's really cool because these MDF pieces have all got sort of like etched markings in them, like details, and it will be really able to sort of bring those details out. I'm going to try and do it on this side as well. Some more yellow curtains. If I'd had a white pen, I'd probably sort of turn them into polka dots. So I suppose I still could with my black pen, but we can see. Or shall I see if I can? I'm going to see if I can manage to do it with the pink paint. Can I get really fancy? Let's have a see. How small a brush do I have? I do have a rigger brush somewhere, but I'm not quite sure where that is. I'm going to have to put this down, otherwise I'm going to be sorry if you can't see it overly well. Yay! Got some pink polka dots. They make me happy. They're a bit splodgery polka dots, but a bit of black line work around those and we'll never know. All good. Fabulous. Let's add some polka dots to this as well. Now I need to deepen the pink colour, but we're going to have to mix that with the black gesso, which I will do in just a second. Those haven't been quite as successful, but we will, as I said, black pen will be fine. So I'm just going to grab a tiny amount of black gesso. And let's get the pink paintbrush. I'm going to mix that in with that. I think we can manage to get away with a tiny bit more. So if I'd gone in with blue, it'd have gone quite purpley, which I didn't really want. I wanted it to sort of be just another tone of the same pink. And now I can just bring that in, and we're going to have tonal value on the pink stripe as well. I'm still going to go in with black, just not quite at that stage just yet. I'll need to sort of let all of this dry, and then, as I said, I think I'll apply it with a sponge. I'm just going to see, as soon as I've got wet paint here, if it'll end up drying up, and as soon as I've spludged my, I'm not sure, I'm filming 2 videos so I can't remember, but I had this aside to dry, and I was like, I'm not going to do it with the heat gun because I don't really want the bubbly effect. And then as I was pulling out all the embellishments for the next Dawn and Julie I create, I put the packaging on top of it. I just literally sat packaging on top of that. So now the flowers have got a sort of extra texture anyway, which I love this. I don't know, I just love it when my hands feel, there's something beautiful about painty hands. I do actually have photographs of my painty hands. Sometimes they're just such works of art that I end up trying to take photos of them. Sad, I know, but it's an artist's life. It's an artist's life. Right. Okay. I'm going to blatter this with the heat gun, and then we'll be back with some more painterly goodness. So I've dried that with my heat gun. Actually, the fact I've dried it with the heat gun, the extra texture I gave it by sticking something on top of it sort of alleviated a little bit. Right, so I've got gesso here, and I'm going to start in the middle with white gesso. Sort of going for an ombre effect, but sort of a dual ombre effect. So start with the gesso, then I'm going to pick up this gesso here that's got a bit of blue in it. I clearly needed to put a bit more blue out, I think. I'm just trying to steal it from various places on the palette because we may as well use what we've got. Right, let's grab a bit more. I'm going to get another brush though, because it's like I want to keep that one white so that we can work the centre. So what I'm going to do is just grab this and get the blue. I've got the blue. I'm going to start off. Oh, wow. Do you know, I knew I liked this stencil, but I've not played with it nearly enough. But seeing the texture come through there, I'm not even going to fill in the white gaps in between because I think that looks lovely. Right, don't forget to paint your edges as well because it does make a difference. It does end up helping it look extra fantabulously. Okay. I'm just admiring the beauty of this so much that I've lost the ability to talk. Okay, so I've got that going there. Right, so I've got this coming down. I said I'm not going to squidge into it and then I'm automatically doing it because I'm not used to trying to fill the gaps. I want to do it on those bits, but yeah, I'm quite liking that amazing, amazing texture. Now let's grab some of this white, this I'm at the end of this gesso, so that's very dried up stuff. But I've got another pot, so I'm going to move in now to that blue and bring it down. So we go up into the blue and bring it down into the gesso, and then we're creating a little bit of an ombre effect. And then while I've got that colour on my brush, I'm going to try and get the sides as well, so that the sides are looking just as delicious as the main part. Let's get the sides there as well. Okay, it's looking good. Right, so now what I want to do is get a little bit of the yellow. Let's put some of this out. Orange still on that brush, so I hope I'm not going to end up with mud now, because that's really not what I want. I want to try and mix a green. So we've got that green, and I'm going to start. It's not the nicest green actually. That's a bit too green for me. I know that sounds daft, but yeah, I'm a bit fussy about my greens, as Dawn knows. I do like green, don't like snot green. This green that I seem to have mixed feels to me very much like a pre-mixed green, a grass green, and I never like the pre-mixed grass greens. I always mix teal and yellow. So to me this is needing a bit more yellow in the mix to make it a bit more limey, which is a green that I prefer. So I'm just going to try adding a bit more yellow to this now. Let's see if I can get, that's made me happier. I like that far better. Right, so I'm going to do the same thing. Try not to scruffle it into those roses because they just look awesome. That green is way too green, but I might just get a fresh brush and just blend yellow directly on top of it to get a colour I like. But we're getting something down, so it's all good. Right, so keep going with that. And I think that is exactly what I'm going to do to create my ombre. I'm now just going to take the pure yellow, because as I blend that, as I sort of, if I go up here with my yellow, I want room for there to be the gesso, but if I go up there and then bring that down and then go back up, and if I just keep working it like that, I will end up with that nice limey green. And then let's just take that to the sides as well. Again, just because don't forget your edges, because it does make a difference. Let's bring that in. So the last thing I need to do is just bring a bit of gesso in the centre and then blend that down into that lime green. So at the minute I'm sort of blending that green from that hideous pre-mixed grass green that we've got into a much more zingy thing. I'm actually just going to add a bit more of the darker one just at the bottom there, because it's little white patches, and I like the depth of tone that it gives. It's pleasing to my need for shades and tones, so I'm glad it's there, but it just needs toned down into where I'm happy with it. That's fab. Right, now I'm going to grab yet another brush. I think after I have got this, it's all going to need to dry a little bit, so I will be cleaning my brushes, going and getting a cup of tea. I'm not sure if I want to clean my hands because they're so pretty. Now look at them, they're just work of art there. And then I'll come back and we'll see what we're doing. I need to add shadow to my caravan. So like that white in there, so again, moving that white down into that green so that we've got that lovely blend. And I'm going to get yet another brush because I don't want to end up with green in the sky. So I'm going to get another bit, and we're going to go up and down into the sky and just sort of blend that middle section. I am loving that. I think it's awesome. So I'm going to let that dry. That has turned out way better than I thought it would in my head. So delighted. Right, I will be back. Maybe with clean hands, maybe not. But I will be back when we have things dry and we're ready for the next stage. Okay, so I've washed my brushes. I've not washed my hands. Not particularly because I'm a minger. I mean, I know I was talking about it, but I had actually every intention of washing my hands. But I ended up on the phone to guess who? None other than our lovely Dawn. So I've got a bit of sponge. It wasn't the sponge I was wanting. I was wanting the nice cheap kitchen sponges, but I couldn't find any, so we're using this one. And I'm going to get a little bit of black. And I'm going to use this in lieu of the fact that I don't have an ink pad to do my shadowing. And I'm just going to get a sponge and get a tiny bit of black gesso. Okay, there's a little dodgy edit there. That would be because I don't know what I'm doing with that. That would be because my SD card was full. I don't know, the SD card that I normally use is sort of broken. When I try and put it in, it does all sorts of weird things. So I'm having to use an older one, but it's not got the same sort of memory on it. So even though I've only been recording this evening, it's sort of done. So I'm not sure how much I managed to say, but I've been having a lovely chin wag with our lovely Dawn. Which has been great. So now I am just using the black gesso. This was the bit that stumped me when Dawn said that I had to choose between inks or paints, because normally I would get my black soot paint out and I would get all the edges down to really help to build up the shadow areas. So when I thought I wasn't going to be able to do that, I was like, and then I thought, oh, well, I'm going to have to then choose black paint. I'm going to have to choose 2 colours and black paint, and that's what I thought I was going to have to do. But then I was like, well, if I only have 2 colours, how am I going to make, you know, the caravan stand out from the background and stuff like that? It was just presenting me with lots of headaches. And then I suddenly thought, oh, well, if I was allowed 2 colours of gesso, then that would give me the ability to get my shadowing done so that I'm happy bunny, but without using my ink. So when one of the fabulous things about challenges like this and limiting your supplies is it does make you have to be a bit more creative. If you're so used to always pulling out a certain product for a certain technique at a certain stage, now I've not, in doing that, that's gone too dark there and I'm not happy, but we can, I'm just gonna, I can possibly go in and fill. The trouble is this is acrylic and not watercolour, so I'm not sure. Oh yeah, I managed to activate it a little bit. Okay, I just want to, yeah, that's gone a bit too dark. I'll maybe just wait to see. Might be alright once it's all done. So yeah, sometimes when you have to limit your supplies like this, it makes you think outside the box. It makes you have to do something a bit different to what you normally do. And you maybe discover something that you didn't know or didn't think about or whatever. So sometimes limiting your supplies can really increase your creativity, because you have to work it out somehow so that you're happy with it, you know. So there we go. It's actually not too bad. I think I can live with that extra bit of shadowing, that's fine. So I was so glad that I thought of that, and I was so glad Dawn said yes when I messaged her and said, am I allowed both white and black gesso? When she said that, I was like, yes, I am happy. I'm happy with that, because it just gave me a little bit more scope. So I'm going to make sure I get plenty on this wheel, because I don't think that's going to need it. So I'm actually, it's almost like dry brushing but with a sponge, and it really is quite dry, because I'd rather build it up gradually than have to end up knocking it off. It's easier to add more than it is to take away. So, and the other thing is, like, the top half of your wheel is going to be a lot darker than the bottom half, because obviously it's under the hubcap and stuff like that. So this top bit is going to need to be a lot darker than the bottom half. So it's like I want the shadowing stronger up here, like so, and then we'll just have a little bit of shadowing around there, and that should give us, there's a little caravan like that, isn't it cute? Right, let's get this glued down. I'm just going to be using my normal glue for this. Normally I would use gel medium, but I'm just so I can move on to the next stages, and it's fairly yeah, it's pretty good glue, to be honest, and these MDF pieces aren't overly heavyweight. They're good quality, but this glue will stick that to it. So we'll make that up, and then we'll have a look at how our canvas is looking. But yeah, I'm quite pleased how she is looking just now. I just think it's really funny that I've pretty much gone for the same colours as the last caravan I built. That amuses me somewhat. Right, so I'm going to pull this in. Now, part of me was looking at the canvas and wondering whether to dry brush the flowers, but then we've kind of almost got it standing out, the fact that we've got the white gaps, so I think I'm just going to avoid that and maybe consider dry brushing at the end. So I'm thinking something like that. Let's just remove these out of the way so I can push this a bit further up. And I've just realised I've been waffling away, and I bet you my tea's gone cold, because I made that a while ago. And I do need some tea. It's bearable. It's not like freezing cold, but it's not awful. Now, I never get on particularly well with flowers, but I think we're just going to have to go with it. I have a feeling that I will end up gessoing them and painting them, which, you know, I probably should have done beforehand, but I wonder if leaves are included. I mean, they came in the flower bundle. Is that included? I don't know. Who knows? So, I'm thinking that we just have a few different florals. I tend to like smaller ones, to be honest. So we'll stick with paper, since it's paper flowers. So I'm thinking that we maybe need to stick the caravan down and stick a few of these down. And what I might do is just bind these together a little bit. And then I think I'll probably gel medium all this and then need to leave it overnight. But yeah, I'll want to get the colours matching the project a bit better, so I will probably end up like, I quite like that because it almost looks kind of tree twig-like rather than the paper flowers, which is appealing to me somewhat. So I think if we had something like, I'm just sort of trying to make a bit of an arrangement. And then we maybe would have, and then I'll sort of gel medium all of this down, then we'll come back tomorrow and sort of gesso that. I just don't know if I'm allowed the leaves, because I mean it came in the flower pack, but is that included? I don't know. I've got some slightly bigger paper roses as well, so I could maybe just have a few different sizes. But I'm thinking that, oops, move that out. Oh, come on. Okay. Something like so. Sorry, I'm losing the ability to speak. It's because I'm trying to think. I like that, but but then I'm not liking it all sort of clustered. But how else would I want my flowers? Oh, I don't know. I do not know. Let's see. Oh, we've got some more of these. That's gratuitous. So we could make another couple of these up, maybe another 2, so that we've got 3, so that we are, you know, enjoying the rule of 3s. Twist that round, so we can have another one sort of like so. I'll make up another one, but I'm not sure whether it needs it. We'll have a C. Right. So something like that, maybe. Okay, we're getting there. Just, I feel like it's quite hard only having one sort of embellishment, because I feel like we need some sort of texture along there. Or I might just keep it really simple. She says, sticking more on. Yeah, I think I'm just going to go with something like that, and then we will create a shadowed area later once it's all dry. So let me just, I'm going to cut this down a little bit, and then let's get the good old gel medium down, and then we will leave that overnight. I'll leave this overnight to dry and do its thing. Good thing about gel medium is there is an element of like wiggle room. Oops, what I'm going to do is just slap a whole load of it down there, because I think that might be easier. I'm pushing everything into it then. I can, once that wire is stuck, then I can, oh dearie me, it's definitely bedtime. Once that wire has dried and the gel medium's held it, it's going to be more solid for me to be able to start fiddling with the wires a bit more and getting them into a position that I like and that I'm comfortable with. So yeah, we will do that a bit later. Thinking that needs to, no, I think I'm just going to have the 3 big flowers and the 3 little flowers for the minute, and I mean I can always add more later if I change my mind. Okay, and pop that there. Keeping it simple. Right, so I'm just going to let that dry now. I'm going to say good night to you, and we will be back in the morning, probably just to add a bit of white gesso to that, so that we can colour it in colours that we prefer. And then I'll do a bit of shadowing under here somewhere. We could maybe add a bit of detail with the stencil. We'll see how we go on. I'll see you in the morning. Okay, so our canvas has all dried, and I'm about to get the dregs of this gesso out of this tub. See if we can use it all completely. So I'm going to just gesso these flowers because they're not really the colour that sort of suits the project. So I'm just going to get a bit of gesso over this, and then I'm thinking that I will maybe make these pink, because we've just got a tiny bit of pink in the caravan there. So I'm just going to gesso those, just so that we've got a nice even surface to be working on. And we'll just sort of liven up. I think probably what I will do is paint them pink maybe, so they match, and then dry brush them. I'm still partly contemplating doing a little bit of dry brushing on the texture up there. We'll see. I don't know, that I quite like the fact that we've got the white there, so I don't really want to end up putting white on the raised bits and losing that effect, but we could maybe do with a little bit. I have, the school holidays have started and my daughter is off and she's got one of her best friends round at the minute. She's staying for a sleepover, so if there's any noise and hilarity, it's those two girls having fun. It's lovely to hear, to be honest. It's really nice to hear them giggling and playing. Okay, so I'm going to get a bit on these little roses as well. Let's see, just so that I can match it in a little bit better. Yeah. There we go. Right, I'm going to knock some of this off. I'll get my painty rag. Okay, and I'm contemplating just a little bit, not a lot, because I really like the way that we've got the extra bits of white poking through, so I don't really want to overly do it. Plus there's a lovely metallic sheen on that paint, which is just fabulous, so I think that's enough for there. And then I'm just maybe put a little bit down here as well, just to bring out some of that texture. Since I've got it on my brush, I may as well sort of get to that stage. Okay, now one thing I'm going to have to do is we're going to have to ground this because it looks like it's just floating away there at this moment in time. So I need to make a green up again, so we'll need our blue and our yellow. So we'll just grab a bit of that. But I also want it to be a bit darker, so I will mix in. I probably should have done the yellow first, that would have made sense because I'm about to contaminate my yellow now. Oh dear, never mind. I'll just get a bit of yellow in there, mix that up. It's not really my favourite green, but I'm wanting to go darker than that anyway. So I'll now get my black gesso. Got to love a painty cloth. The best things in the world. Right. Let's get a tiny bit of black gesso. And we'll stir that into here. So we've now got more olive green. I think I'd like to go darker again. I'm going to risk just throwing that in there. There we go. So I've got a nice dark green there, and I'm actually gonna, this is like an acrylic paint, so you shouldn't really need water, but I want more of a wash look rather than it's being as solid, because I'm just trying to create a little bit of shadow under the caravan, and so it's just purely in that there would be shadow underneath. It would be darker under the caravan, and it stops making it look like it's floating and starts to make it look a bit more like it belongs. So we'll do that, and then when I get to the black pen stage, we might just I'll maybe add a little bit of sort of doodling of grass. Okay, so I probably need to blatter this with the heat gun, or what I might do is actually, let's get my black pen out because I prefer to let it dry as naturally as possible. So let's get my black pen out. So I've got my Jane Davenport pens. These are brilliant, they literally write over everything. I have yet to find something that this will not write over, and I've got the finest brush nib, and the reason I've gone for the finest is that I should just be able to fit that in the grooves. I've got a little bit off piece there, but that's fine. So I'll be able to bring all of this detail that is in these gorgeous pieces of MDF. I mean, I really don't know how Wendy manages to fit as much detail into this as she has. It's incredible. There's all these different things that just make it look absolutely amazing. So just popping those in there. I'm just following the groove that's actually there. Oops. It's popping it a little bit, but if it does, that's fine. It's just going to add, I'm going to create a sketchy feel. I'm going to put my own doodles in a bit anyway. So I'm not too worried about that. There we go. It's just going to make those bits and bobs a little bit more obvious. So I'm actually just going to draw little circles. I keep sticking my finger into that wet green paint, which is quite silly. Look. And I'm just going to draw around the little polka dots here as well, just to neaten that up. Got a slightly better finish to it. I'm excited to see what Dawn's done. I actually know what colours she's gone for because we had a little bit of a chin wag last night. So I do know what she's gone for. And I have to say that we both called it again. Tell you, we know each other so well. I reckon if we were to do some sort of like a crafty version of Mr. and Mrs., you know, like your crafty best friend, but it's like, but you have to ask questions about what will they use or something like that. That if there was a game like that, that Dawn and I would be pretty good. We're pretty good at calling what each other's going to use and what we're going to do. Right, so add a bit of frame. That isn't at all what I was going to do. I was actually going to doodle around the edge of the caravan. But hey ho. Right. Right. Did I bring my stencil back from the... I just posted a picture up on Instagram today of saying, am I the only one whose bathroom ends up... It's on the stories. Am I the only one whose bathroom ends up looking like this? Because seriously, like my bathroom at the minute is full of stencils drying, brushes drying. It's quite strange. Right, so whilst I am still... I might blast that with a heat gun in a minute, but I'm going to get some pink out. I don't need that green anymore, I don't think, so I'll get rid of that brush. I'm going to get some pink out, and I'm going to bring my stencil back in. As I said, one of the things that I love about this stencil is there's lots of little elements to it. So I'm going to take these two hearts. Now I think all my stippling brushes are out in the bathroom drying. Got this one which should work. So I'm going to take a little bit of that, and I just want those hearts, and I'm going to stipple in here. Oh sorry, not on screen very well. Just going to get those. So the advantage of, I'm using acrylic paint, so normally if you mix pink and blue together you would get purple. But because the layer underneath is dry, it should stay permanent, so I should still get a nice strong pink that will pop against that. So I'm just going to do that just now, and then what I might do is come back a bit later and doodle that. Yay. Happy, happy, happy! Okay, so that's going to give me my dangles. Right, let's see, have we got enough dryage on this? We're on the home straight, I think. So let's just blatter that dry so I can start that pink that I've put into my hearts. They're not perfect as I've stippled through, but as I said, what I will do is I will doodle it with a pen in a bit once they're dry. Okay, so now I've done that, let's get some of this pink, and I'm going to get some of this on here. And I will, because that's going to end up looking too solid for me, so I will end up getting some of the white gesso out and dry brushing it again, but it's just going to end up making this look far more part of the project, because the pale pink doesn't really go with the bright zingy colours that are everywhere else. But the fact that we put the gesso on first, it means we've because there was like a brass centre and beads and paper flowers, and then there's wire of the roses and things like that, so we had multiple surfaces there to contend with. So I am just going to, that's why the gesso was handy. I'm not bothered about perfect coverage, because like, you know, you wouldn't flowers wouldn't be perfect. I actually think I'm going to put yellow on those, sorry, put pink on those, but I might just grab a bit of yellow as well, just so that they're slightly different from the bigger flowers. So let's get that on there. Let's see if that just matches. See, I'm happier now because those flowers sort of match the project. I might like put a bit of yellow into some of this. Not really that I want it orange, I want it pink, but it's just, again, it's to create that multiple tone look that I bang on about all the time. Okay, so we are getting there. I think we're on the home straight. Let's just give this a waft again. I'm happy though. Definitely happy. This is much better and I'm much happier with it than when I first got the brief and I was like, oh, I felt like too many of the things that I fall back on were missing, even though I have my black pen and my gesso. Very grateful to the black pen and gesso. I have to say, when all else fails, it's amazing what you can do with those two products. Right, so we're getting there. Let's bring this stencil back in. I'll just give it a little wipe. Technically I should probably go and clean it, but you know, that requires effort of some description. So I'm going to pop that back over. And I'm going to get my black pen. Oops. Gonna get my black pen. Okay. I'm just gonna doodle around that. Now I can already see the paint's gone out with the doodle shape, that's fine. I can live with that, it's just gonna add to it. So actually I might just emphasise that line slightly. I was also thinking of doing pink splatters, so that will work once we've finished. And then let's just turn those into dangles. The obsession with dangles has not yet gone away. You're still loving the dangles. Okay, so I'm happy with that. I just need to get it out because I've ended up contaminating the brush that I had for my white. So let's just see what else we've got here. And I'm going to grab the white gesso again. So it seems daft that, you know, we painted it white and then we coloured it and now we're getting the white out again. The white is to help to bring out the texture and to knock it back again. The white that I put on at the beginning was to uniform it so that the whole thing took the paint really well. So there was a purpose to sort of painting it white, then painting it coloured, then painting it white again. There was a reason for it. So your dry brush, I probably got a bit too much. Your dry brushing, I quite like the paint to be about 3/4 of the way up the brush. And I'm going onto the project flat. If I go like this, I'm going to fill in the gaps, which isn't particularly what I want. I'm just wanting it to hit the sort of raised features or the textures, so that we're really getting the texture of the flowers. So now we've knocked it back, they're not as bright as they were, but the colour scheme matches much better. It's sort of a tonal, there's a marriage between the tonal colours of the Caravan and this, so it works well on the project. But we're just sort of taking that starkness away from it. So I think that looks fab. So that's how that looks just now. I'm now going to grab another brush and I'm going to try and water down this pink. So obviously this is an acrylic, but I want a nice loose paint because I want to do splatter, because I'm thinking that'll just look nice. And just, especially down the bottom, I'm almost wanting that to look like little flowers. That makes sense in my head, like there's like pink flowers in the grass. Give an illusion of that, and then I'm just going to have a few just sort of come in further up. So it's almost like there's like cherry blossom in the wind. So, gonna let that dry. Then all we need to do is stick our Tim Holtz sticker on that. And I think that I'll be calling that done. Okay, so here's how it's looking nice. So I have got Tim Holtz stickers. So we've got one here that says travel, which just seems perfect. So I've got travel, best day ever. Decisions. Right. I'm going to pop that there and then see if I can just move this one. Travel. Best day ever. I can just imagine travelling in my camper van, sitting at the end of the day, tucking yourself into your little camper van and going, well, that was the best day ever. And what about sweet life? Pop that one up there. Sweet life. It's a sweet life in your happy camper. There we go. So that's that all there. Okay. So that is my make all done, and I am quite happy with it. It is much better than I thought it might end up looking when it was all in my head. So very pleased. Thank you very much for the fabulous challenge, our Dawn. So if you have enjoyed it here, please do consider liking and subscribing, and of course make sure you pop over to our lovely Dawn, because I know she'll have rocked it and knocked it out of the park. She always does, because she's an amazing crafter. And yeah, I will see you all again very soon. Okay, take care then, and goodbye.